Good evening, YouTube. Go hard back with another banger. Y'all already know what to do before I get into the video. I need you to hit that like button. Leave me a comment. Share this video. And if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. So, this part 5. Down there, Autry State Prison. And I just left the CERT team office doing the piss test. And I had to work my 1s and 2s and my 3s and 4s. Because if I'd have pissed in that cup, I'd have set it on fire. So I had to get off one. I had to piss on myself. It was a very degrading and embarrassing situation and moment, but at the end of the day, I won. I didn't let the machine capture me. I didn't get locked up. So they tell me to go back to the dormitory. As soon as I get back to the dorm, I had to take these clothes off because I'm walking like something the matter with one of my legs. And it was very noticeable. Like, dude was asking me what's the matter with me coming back from the OID office. And the police that was working the gate, who had to let me through, he asked me, he all in the video, like, inmate Blase Squaza, you all right? You good? I'm like, yeah, I'm all right. He said, you need to go to medical. I'm like, nah, I'm good. So as I said, I walked in the dormitory. I took off my state shirt. I took off my regular shirt, and I peeled my pants off. And I went to the shower. Went to the shower, took care of my hygiene right quick, went back to my cell. Got dressed. Once I got dressed, I went to the officer that got the dorm shook down, and I had to have a word with him. I had to rap a tab. I said, hey man, let me ask you a question. I said, how come every time you go to different dormitories, you cause a problem? He was like, what? He said, don't talk to me like that. I said, man, listen, I just asked you a question, man. I'm like, you got to let chain gang run itself. I said, so what if you smell a little bit of smoke in the air? I said, ain't nobody here getting stabbed up. Ain't nobody getting put in the door. Ain't no fights. I said, you got to let a spade be a spade. He said, well, you got to understand something. I got a job to do. And if y'all here smoking that good stuff, you feel me? And my OIC come in and smell it, that let me know I'm not doing my job. And y'all just don't know how to be discreet when y'all do things. And guess what? He was right. Because in E2, they didn't have no respect at all. At all. And this where all the goons and goblins at. When you come out the hole, 9 times out of 10, they're going to put you in E2. So I'm like, yeah, you right. So I was saying to myself, I know in due time, I'm going to have a meeting of the minds with all the individuals in the dorm that got sense. Because a lot of people in here ain't got sense. And they thugging. They not, like, it be times they just don't want to hear it. Because you can't tell a person what to do if you ain't put no food on his plate. But I just made a mental note to say to myself, you know what I mean, I'm just going to try. I said, hey, can I go outside on the big yard? He was like, yeah, sure. He said, see, one thing I can respect about you, you got respect for officers. I said, look, man, you want respect, you got to earn respect and give respect. I said, even though that was some bullshit what you did, know what I mean, and you really dry snitched on me, I said, I don't got no problem with you. See, what I had to do with him, I had to use reverse psychology. I had to rock on to sleep because he already don't like me, so I know the only one I'm going to win this person over if I just stay out his way and try to be polite. And that's not even in my character. So he let me on the yard. I go in the yard and I walk to the fence, and everybody that I know I'm going to do business with, I told them to come on the yard. And some of them was already out there. One thing about chain gang, when you establish and you are moving and shaking the playmaker, you're going to be very rarely seen. Because you're going to protect your empire. If you got everything that you need in a dormitory as far as phones, something to smoke, something to eat, something to drink, you ain't going to come out. But when the tech squad come down there and ruffle y'all feathers, you got to come outside, whether it's cold or whether it's hot, and network. So I'm out there in the big yard and I'm networking. And a lot of individuals, Blue Suit had got knocked off when they did that roundup. And a lot of people, they lacking what they need to make money. I wasn't the only playmaker there. It was just, as I said, mine had dodged the bullet because they put her in the tower. And then I had a team. Teamwork make a dream work. The individual that was utilizing, excuse me, to make my plays, they was getting greedy though. They was asking for too much money. So I had to switch lane. That's how Boss G got in the whip. So while I'm out in the yard, you know, I was very trustworthy when it comes to business. And a lot of individuals knew I honor my word. So while I'm on the yard, they had already had their confirmation numbers. So they gave me their confirmation numbers, about 4 or 5 of them, but everybody want to know when they're going to get their merchandise. Well, some of them do. Some people impatient, some people not. And when you getting thousands of dollars from an individual, or whatever the case may have you, you got to, you know, like I said, you got to be honorable. So once I get everybody confirmation number, I 2-step, I come off the yard. When I come off the yard, you feel me, I go back to the dormitory. Because one thing about it, when you're in a big yard, there's only so much you can do. Either you're going to be playing b-ball, you're going to be playing football, you're going to indulge in baseball. You know, it's things to do, but I'm trying to get this money on, as always. So I go back to the dorm, and I go to networking. I call my mans in them and make sure his team on point. And by this time, they done purchased everything. You feel me? And we got some other unique phones because the day before this, a couple of individuals had gave me their confirmation numbers, and they want Pacific phones. So I called Boss Charlie up and make sure everything was all as one. So like, yeah, everything good. So I'm like, yo, how many footballs you got? He said, shit, we got 7. So, you know, I always try to get 7 bombs in because, you know, lucky 7. And yes, I believe in luck. But sometimes the 7th ball be the first ball because it's a practice ball. You know, practice make perfect. You know, the team that you're utilizing to take care of the business, you just don't want them to come down there and try to throw nothing. They need to practice. But when the business is getting handled, you always want to use that first ball and make it less expensive. Like, it might be a casualty. You just want to make sure the person that's throwing, he got his arm intact. So bro let me know everything was on point. So now I'm going back and forth with myself. Should I try to throw play first? Or should I try to make some shake with old girl on the other side that worked the mental health dormitory? And then, like I said, I had my other Blue Suit who bring the Bobby Brown, but I know that's a cakewalk. But it's not a cakewalk if, you know, she come through and get caught And then, you know, that's more money had to be spent. I got to bond her out. So then what I said. I said, I'm going to try to do the move first with old girl mental health. So I write Face Off a letter and told him, you know what I mean, look, bro, what she used to. And he was like, man, bro, she ain't going to bring that much. She just going to bring, you know what I mean, what's needed. And when he wrote me back, he basically told me, you know, she going to bring enough to, you know, hold me down. And I said, bro, you got to up the ante. I said, bro, listen, you on some crumb type shit, bro. I said, you got to do better than that. And that's what I told him. Like, we kind of wrote each other like 2 to 3 times. And he basically told me he don't know what's the limit. I said, well, I'm going to find out. So when I do go to talk to her, you know, I kind of put her mental at ease and offered her more money. And she was like, I'm cool with that. Well, how am I going to bring that in? I said, well, how you been bringing what you bring in? So she gave me the little secret. She told me what she told me. I said, well, look, you can do it like this and you can bring in way more. And then keep it 100. Face Off wasn't business savvy. He was just getting a little something to, you know, smoke. So when he was getting what he was getting, it was a small bomb. But I had upped the ante. And then, like I said, I threw some more money at her. So she was like, sure. And then what Face Off was doing, when he was getting what he was giving her some crumbs. And I told her, and I was trying to stay in my lane because I don't want to overstep my boundaries. Because when you do things like that, and the person is on some boyfriend or girlfriend type shit, they feel the emotion going to get involved and things can go left. And Face Off and old girl was definitely on some boyfriend girlfriend type shit. So now I just told her, I said, well, look, how about I give you this? If I give you this, you'll be good with that. She was like, hell yeah. She told some, I wish Face Off would do that. Well, she didn't actually call him Face Off, you know what I mean? They was on first name basis type shit, you know what I mean? And I was like, man, look, whatever you and him got going on, y'all can continue to do that. I said, whenever you bring me what you bring me, I'm going to make sure he good, you know what I mean? She said, I appreciate that. So I said, I'm going to get with you tomorrow. I'm like, how long is it going to take you to purchase everything? She said, it ain't going to take me long, but I'm going to need you to walk me through how to do what you asking me. So I said, I'll get with you tomorrow. So I had to go holler at Face Off. You know, that's just protocol. When you try to utilize a person's blue suit, when you doing something that he's not normally doing, you got to get their blessing. So I basically wrote him a letter and like, look, bro, I said, I'm trying to up the ante and put some extra money in your pocket. I said, bro, you're going to be over there for a minute. I said, but the only way I can take care of this, bro, I need to talk to her on the phone. So he wrote me back. And he basically, you know, gave me his blessing and told me to tell her, well, say this code word. And, excuse me. Y'all got, hold up. He was like, basically say this code word right here. And she gonna know everything. So the next day came, make a long story short, I went back over there, told the code word, and instead of her giving me her number, I gave her mine. And I said, look, just call me. I said, whenever, I said, matter of fact, I said, time you leave off the premises, just give me a call and we're going to go from there. She said, okay. So when she called me, I basically told her, you know what I mean, the stores to go to get things that was needed. And the only thing she doing, she's bringing some Bobby Brown, and I had utilized somebody that I knew in the surrounding area that's outside of what I got going on. Because you never put all your eggs in one basket. That's the jewel I just dropped. Never put all your eggs in one basket. And never let your right hand know what your left hand doing. Words to live by. So I had utilized somebody else that I knew. And I got a good sized portion portion of some Al Green. So I sat down the phone with her, and I walked her through what to do. As far as, look, you got to cross your T like this. You got to dot your I like this. You got to put your period right here. And you got to put your comma right here, so on and so forth. So at first, she was catching hell. She was trying to use the the compressor, and the compressor had in a weaver. She kept messing up. But she eventually got it right. So when she finished, she took me a couple of pictures, and I said, that'll work, that's good. So when she finished, I basically gave her a portion of what I was gonna pay her. And she was like, well, I'm gonna bring it tomorrow. I said, listen, I said, for future references, I don't care who you dealing with, me, Face Off, or anybody. I said, don't never tell a person when you're gonna bring it. Because they might put their squeeze on that individual, and he might not be as solid as you think, or something might happen. You don't want to put yourself in a messed up situation. And I kind of overstepped my boundaries, but I just know Face Off didn't teach it right. And don't keep it 100. As time continued, and I continued to talk to her on the phone, I noticed she was a little bit thrown off her rockers. That's why they had her working when she was working at. But she was good people at the end of the day. So after I talked to her some more, I got the pictures, and I approved of the pictures. I said, you just get word to me when you ready not me to handle your business. I said, just call or text me. I said, text me or call me that morning. That's why I used to always be up in the morning. Early bird gets the worm. If you're a certified hustler and go-getter, you know what I mean, you're going to be up and at it. You know what I mean? You're not going to be getting up at 11 or 12 o'clock. You got to be up. Your feet got to hit the floor, and you got to be ready for war, and you got to be ready to, you know, get that money on. Excuse me. So, make a long story short, I hung up the phone, and I called bruh and asked him, you know, just getting a last word in with him, because as soon as I do this with her, old girl, we going right in. We on our Mike Vick shit. So he said, man, bruh, everything smooth sailing, everything good in the hood. So I said, okay, say less. I said, well, look, let me do my rounds and hop my people. Because this is one thing about it, right? When you're doing what you're doing, everybody that's involved, they need to be on one accord. Everybody got to be on one accord. If I say this time, that's what time it need to be. If something changed, you need to let the person that's driving the whip change. And you got to know what you're doing. Because you have people life in jeopardy. Because if they get caught, it ain't going to be pretty. You know? So that's why you made proper preparation and make sure everything is 5950 authentic. So I got a good feeling. I mean, everything good, everything smooth. I called my people that's, you know, working the tower and asked her, you know, is everything good on her end? So she told me basically the CO that was working that weekend, he was real lazy. Like, he was one of the ones that you could probably get 20 footballs off. You know what I mean? So I said, you sure? She said, I'm positive he's the one working this weekend. I said, okay, cool. So I hollered at bruh again and let him know. And I checked the weather forecast, because that's also something you got to do. You got to always expect the unexpected. So now I done crossed all my T's, I done dotted all my I's. It's showtime. Well, it's showtime when old girl bring this pack. So I holler at the less thorough blue suit, and I'm speaking about the one that's, bringing Bobby Brown, because she's still on the team, and she still got to eat. She still got a family to feed. So I told her, I said, look, I need you to bring me about like 4 to 5 cans. And she like, I got you. So next day come, like I already knew what I had coming. I just didn't like when old girl, like she didn't really know me from a can of paint. And she basically told me she gonna bring them all. So, I was on point. So my phone rung. It rung about 5 o'clock. Hello? It is such and such. I'm like, yeah, what's good? She said, everything green light. I said, okay, say less. I said, I'll see in about an hour or two. I hung up the phone, tighten up my cell, made sure my bed was good. And I went out the dormitory, made some laps, and then my other phone with the bzzz, 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 bzzz. It was my other blue suit. Let me know they're gonna bring that Bobby Brown Day. I'm like, okay, cool. So now I got 2 blue suits coming in at one time. And I had another blue suit on my team, but they wouldn't bring nothing. But they were still my team. They played a very, very major role. Their role was, if something looked out of place, call me. And that's it. And I used to give them a couple of $100 just to do that. So I called her because she was on her way to work. So when I bumped the line, I said, look, anything look out the ordinary? She said, nah, not that I can see. I said, okay, say less. I said, man, if you hear it, and before I even finish saying so, I know if I hear something, hit you immediately. And that's something that I always did. I used to beat this in my blue suit ears, because don't be yes ma'aming me. I mean, no, not yes ma'aming me. Don't be just saying yeah, and you just telling me something that I want to hear. No, be on your job. Do what you get paid for. So the stage is set. I seen when third shift was leaving and first shift was coming. I had got the door by this time. I'm on the walk, so I can see where all the police, they come out the briefing room. So I see old girl who's bringing me to Bobby Brown. Okay. And then I'm looking. At first, I don't see old girl, and I'm kind of panicking, because this is her first time bringing a large substance at one time. She just used to something small. But I'm still looking. I'm looking. And then she finally pop out. She was like the second to the last CO to come out. So I said, cool. So I hollered at one of the orderlies that was working on the sidewalk. I told him, I said, look, I used to go down there and go get that for my people. Speaking about my people that bringing the Bobby Brown. And from experience, I knew never let the sidewalk orderly meet your plug, because I had a real bad experience 2 times before, and I always got crossed out when they met her physically. So I just told her, like, I just had my shit together. I crossed my T's, dot my I's. You know what I mean? Like, when she get to work, she heard me get off of her, put it where she need to put it at, and then that's that. So once my sidewalk early, he go down there, I go on the other side. I go on the other side, and the dudes in mental health, they showing out. And again, these are some dudes playing a role, some dudes borderline, and some dudes are actually mental health for real. So as soon as I get to the dorm, this before I get in the dorm, I'm standing looking. I don't see her. And the salad port is open. And that's very rare. You very rarely see the salad port open, especially in the mental health dorm. So the salad port was open and the actual door was open before you get in the dorm. So I slipped right in. So when I go in, this is my first time entering the mental health dorm. It feel like a hospital. It's real cold in there. You got dudes walking around talking to themselves. And you got a couple of dudes in there that's all right. And my people that I had doing what he do, I went right to a cell. Here and there knocked out. So I'm like, hey, get up, bro. Guess what he did? He had took some of them pills. And the pills done, took control of his mental and his body. So now I gotta, pamper him. So I get some water, make him drink the water. I don't smack him hard. I just, I'm trying to bring him back. So I stayed there for about like 5 minutes. I said, man, bro, you need to get up, man. Snap out that shit. Get yourself together. I said, man, put some hot water. I said, get up, bro. So he finally got up because, at first he didn't recognize me. And that's the medicine that they was giving these mental health inmates was so potent, it take him out of it. So when he kind of came to, he recognized who I was. He's like, man, bro, what you doing at the door? Everything. I'm like, yeah, I'm good, bro. I said, man, just get yourself together. Get right. So I leave his room. So when I'm walking back downstairs, you had some mental health, they looking at me, and they can tell I don't belong here. And they were like, one said, hey, what you doing here? I don't want to say nothing. He said, man, did you hear what I said? What you doing here? So he done kind of got loud, right? So I look at him again. I said, man, bro, I'm trying to make sure y'all go to the store. And when I said that, kind of eased his mind because you got to understand something. Positive words can ease a situation. And I know that's what they look forward to, going to the store. So he just smiled at me, like, oh, okay. And, I went down the stairs. So when I go down the stairs, now be mindful. I still haven't seen the Bluetooth. I'm wondering where the hell she at. Get where she was at. She was in the mop closet with an inmate, a mental health inmate. And I'm gonna keep it 100. He was trying to work his 1 and 2s, but really, he had her hemmed up. Like, as soon as I came in there, I can see how uncomfortable she was. So, immediately I kind of took control of the situation. I'm like, hey, bro, what you got going up in here, man? I said, man, look, man, you need to get out of the closet. So he was one of those ones, he was borderline. He wasn't all the way mental health, and he wasn't pretending. And I don't think he had his meds, and that was the problem. He ain't took that medicine yet. So he looked at me kind of strange for a minute, and eventually he left. So she had grabbed the chest. She told him, whew. She said, I'm glad you came. I'm like, I'm glad I came too. And I know y'all probably saying, but why she ain't call for backup? She had that pack on her. Like, what can she do? She can't, she got to handle it by herself. So I pulled the door. When the old boy left out the room, I pulled the door all the way up because he left the door, bust all the way open. So she was like, look, you need to hurry up and get this shit. So she went to getting up off of her. Boom, 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 boom. And it wasn't a lot, but for her, It was a lot. And I could tell she was nervous. Like, when it's your first time bringing something to an inmate or a convict, you're going to be scared. You're going to be nervous. That's just, you know what I mean, human nature. So I get what I get. I put it on me. And she was like, when do I get the rest of my money? I said, look, you're going to get your rest of your money today. I said, by the time you get back to your car, I said, your money be on your Cash App. She said, okay, cool. So I get what I get. I'll go upstairs to my homeboy. And I would give him some, but I know he's on those meds and he's not thinking clearly. I said, look, bro, when you come down, I said, give me a call and I got something for you. He's like, all right, big bro. So, you know, I gave him some debt and, you know what I mean, I bounce. So when I leave, I don't have no problem going through the gate. It was a cool CO. I get through the gate and was 2 gates. I get through the first gate, then I get to the second gate and it was smooth sailing. Get back to my dormitory. Nah, I mean, go in my room. I put my flap up, kick my roommate out, and, you know, I just go to unwrapping the bombs. You know, like I said, it was a little bit of this and a little bit of that, you know what I mean? And I had put a portion to the side for face-off. So once I took care of that, by the time I come out the room, the orderly that was going to get the Bobby Brown from my second plug or mule blue suit type shit, he was hot stepping back up there. And everything was everything. You know what I mean? He gave me the little black bag and I told him, I said, I'll catch you a breakfast call. So he did. So once I go back to my room, I said, matter of fact, I ran the room, grabbed the bomb, the face off, knocked on the window, boom, 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 and called him back over. I said, hey, bro, I need you to go to the other side and get this to my manager on face off. He was like, oh, I got you. So boom, I gave it to him, he left. So after I finished breaking up what I had and unwrapping it, I made a couple of calls to, you know, see, one thing about movers and shakers, right? It ain't always about the money sometimes. You have to build a rapport with people because it might be a time I'm down bad and I don't have the money right now or I can't get to it. And, you know, you might want something to smoke or, you know, something like that. So all the movers and shakers and playmakers, I just poured them a little something out. Because I know, like, it's a good deed. And it's going to come back tenfold, so that's why I wasn't really tripping it. So I poured out a little bit of this and a little bit of that. And they called first session. So I had some sandwich wrap and some tape. So I hurried up and wrapped up what I wrapped up and put certain names on there, and I left out. I went to E1 first, hollered at somebody I got loyal ties to. I gave them something, you know what I mean? And I wasn't even, like, I didn't even charge them because I know what I got coming. If everything goes successful with the stove play, I know what I got coming. If I don't, it is what it is. So I went to E1, F1, F2, F1, and that was that. Now I ain't gonna give away everything now. I just gave what I gave to who I rock with. Then I went to the open dormitories. And I blessed who I blessed. But, you know, everybody didn't get the same amount. It just, you know what I mean? I distributed it as I see fit. So after I took care of all that, you know what I mean? I sent some on the other side to my dude in mental health. And you got to know I sent Boss Charlie some. So after everybody I rock with, they good. I said, well, time for the main event. So as the day continued, I put the rest of the bomb up because, again, even though they just shook down this dorm, I know they might double back. And I ain't about to get caught my pants legs down. So, I put mine up. They came through. They came through and inspect. And, that was that. So soon they left after they inspect. Now I'll pull something out. And what I used to do, I used to have something called happy hour. It was a cool CO on, you know what I mean? And, Dorm had been acting up. And there was a lot of young dudes in there. And young dudes, they have a lot of energy. And I'm not saying the thing to do is to keep them high, but you got to keep they mind off this time. Because a lot of dudes, like I know like 4 dudes in my dormitory at the time. One of them had 2 life sentences plus 60. One of them had life without. One of them had a life sentence trying to go back to court. One of them had 50 years. So, they stayed stressed out. And they was the ones who always, called them problem in the dorm. So I made sure when I did happy hour, and I probably wrote up about like 40 joints. Probably wasn't 40, probably about like 30, maybe 28. And I just passed them out to the dormitory. So when the day calmed down, I started, making calls in the free world, making sure everything was lined up. I had hollered at everybody. Well, I hollered at who was at the time in charge of my funds, making sure that they got the money off the wire as far as the money that everybody gave me. And everything was confirmed, everything good. So I'm like, man, should I wait till the weekend or should I just pop it off tonight? Because like I said, you got to read the room. If you see when opportunity knocks, you know what I mean? You got to take full advantage. And that's what I caught myself doing. I supposed to wait till the weekend, but like I said, the vibe of the compound so sweet, you know what I mean? I just want to go ahead and pop it off now. Because the weekend might come and somebody might call out sick and it might not be good. So I said, well, let me go check track. So the female that I was cool with, that used to oversee and give me the yeah and nay far as my blues would come through, I asked them, was my other people in the tower? She was like, oh yeah, she in the tower. She gonna be up there for a minute. So I went to laugh because, she was once in the tower and then she worked away from the tower and they put her in the main control where they basically control all the buttons to the compound. I said, okay, that's all I need to know. So I put everything together. And my blue suit in the booth, she was so on point. She used to bring a small throwaway phone every time she come to work. But it's only a certain time that she'll pull it out. So at first, I'm calling it, and it's going straight to voicemail. So I'm like, damn, she ain't gonna pick up the phone. So I called it probably about the 7th time, and she answered. I'm like, what's up? Go to talk to her, check on her well-being, how she feeling, so on and so forth. She was like, I'm doing good. I said, hey, look, change the plan. She said, what's up? I said, I'm gonna pop it off tonight. She's like, what? She said, you sure? I said, yeah, I'm sure. I'm gonna pop it off tonight. I said, so you need to be on your A game. I said, who working the P card? He said, well, the dude that's supposed to work the weekend, he's not working. It's another dude. And he said, man, I ain't sure about him. I said, what's his route? So she gave me the timing or whatever the case may have, you feel me? And I said, you know what? Like I said, I need to be on standby. So she asked me, are you sure? I said, yeah, I'm sure. She said, okay, I got you. So fast forward, a little bit later on came, you know what I mean? I called the free world, making sure all the authority was on point. and made sure everybody had their emergency money, and made sure, like, just make sure they're on point, because you gotta understand something. When you orchestrating things, right, you got to make sure everybody on point. And if you don't, you most definitely going to suffer the consequences. And I know this from experience. So how I had my team, well, I ain't gonna say my team, individuals, people that I was utilizing, I was just making sure they was on point. Ask them how their day was, you know what I mean, how their family is, so on and so forth. Because you don't never just want to call people and it's always a move you trying to bust a play. But money talk, bullshit walk, and that's what they was in it for. So anyway, once I small talk with them, you know what I mean, I'm like, yo, what y'all got on? And that's very key, because you got people, when they doing these things, they'll try to dress regular degular. Nah, you got to get ready for combat. You about to be in the woods. You got bugs out there. The mud might be soft. You got to be suited and booted. So I told him that, and when I was on the phone with him, like, yeah, man, yo, we suited and booted, man. You know, basically got on black or orange fatigue. You know what I mean? I said, bro, look, don't have no bright colors on. Don't have no jewelry. Don't have your wad on you, because you can do a play and you can drop your damn license in the woods. And I know this from experience. I had somebody I used to deal with, and he did that, and that's how he got caught. But anyway, once I crossed all my T, dot my I, I said, look, we're going to set it off for probably about like 1 or 2 o'clock type shit. They said, cool. So, you know, I laid back in the Maybach until that time. So, when that time finally hit, you feel me? I just started getting this gut feeling telling me abort the mission. But I did. And my people called me from a little throwaway phone that she brought to work. She like, look, you sure you want to do this? Because she always know me to make it happen on certain days. Like, I don't never do nothing last minute. And she know that. But again, the phones was in so much of high demand, I was really put in a situation to match the gas. I could have aborted the mission, but I didn't. So let me tell you what happened. 1:30 came, and everything smooth. The compound locked down. You hear owls, hoo-hoo. You hear, you know, what you hear at night. But it's calm. It go to drizzling. Sometimes, not all the time. When it rains, it helps. It depends on what you got going on. But I have a gut feeling like, hey, bro, don't do it. Don't do it. But just me needing to trying to get this pack in, and I got these dudes money, and some of them getting antsy. And I was just taught by hustlers, like, once they give you that money, not saying you don't give it back, but you got to secure the bag. And that's what I was trying to do. So by this time, the drivers then dropped to throw us off in the woods. And I was very accurate with timing. That was my pet peeve. Being on time. Making sure you dress properly. Don't do nothing last minute. Don't try to do a job while you're on the Al Green. You know, run a thing with an iron fist. So while I'm talking to him on the phone, I made sure everything was everything. And the people that I'm utilizing, well, while I'm getting the balls thrown at, it's not on my yard. It's in another building. So everybody down there, they on point. They outside, on the yard already. So I'm on the phone with one person, and I call my people that's in the P card. I mean, not the P card, in the tower, and I ask her, hey, everything look good? She said, look, everything look good, but it's start raining. She said, you just don't want to call us off? I'm like, nah. Like, it was kind of too far gone. You know what I mean? She said, you sure? So this is the 4th time she did ask me, I'm sure. And some told me again to call it off, but I didn't. So she said, okay, I'm going to do my job. She said, if something look wrong, I'll hit you on the hip. So I hung up. Because I really need to, like, I had like 3 phones. So I'm talking to this person, talking to this person, talking to this person. I'm just trying to make sure everybody on point. Well, I got 2 of the phones on speakerphone, and I'm talking to her on her throwaway phone. And it's a lot going on. My roommate, he's up there playing sleep, but I know he's not asleep. But, you know, he know better to run his mouth, you know what I mean? So the first thrower, he run through the fence. He threw the first football. It came over. So the person I'm networking with, who's quarterbacking for me on this side of the gate, he like, hey, it landed. So I told him to come on with the rest. So they start throwing the balls. Phew, phew, phew. And I heard the person that's playing the position for us on the yard, he said, tell them, hold up, hold up, hold up. Guess what happened? The damn P card he seen him, but he didn't see him. Because like I said, they were dressed in all black. I could hear the car revving up. And then I could just hear pandemonium going on. Oh, shit. Oh, shit. I'm like, yo, y'all aboard. Y'all go, 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 go. So by this time, they done threw like 4 footballs. And now, like I said, I hear the car. He done called the code. And then you just hear a lot of activity on the compound. You hear police running to the designated spot where he called the code at. By this time, the dudes who was throwing the pack, they running. And I can hear it because he got his phone in his pocket. So I'm hearing him running, breathing hard. Oh, shit. Oh, shit. So by this time, you had more P cards because it was 2 of them. You had one in the cut and you had one circling the building. And they had others on standby. So now they chasing the 2 people that was throwing the pack, not through the woods, but they running through the woods, but they trying to cut off where they come out the woods. And by this time, they done caught the free world police. So now you just hear sirens and you see the police lights. You feel me? And next thing you know, here come the police on the inside. Lock down, lock down, lock down, lock down. So, you know, I hurry up and cut my phone off, put my phone up, and the only thing I could do is just, you know, wait. You know what I mean? See what happened. I don't want to know did my people get the footballs off the yard. I don't want to know did it get caught. But I got to put this phone up because one thing about it, when the people say lock down, lock down, lock down, if you don't lock down immediately, like the spot, like I had 2 spots. I had a quick put up spot in my room and I had a duck off spot outside the room. So I'm like, man, I ain't about to put in my room because I already know they come on the bullshit. So I put my phone up and locked down. So now I'm laying on the bed. I'm like this. Damn, I should listen to old girl. She told me to abort mission, but I didn't. So we locked down. I'm laying in the bed and just looking up at the ceiling, all in my feelings. So fast forward, next day come, they don't pop the cells. We don't know how long we're gonna be locked down. And I guess you know what's next. Left, tech squad, who rock? They hit the compound. Man, I'm like, ain't this a man? The first dorm they hit the dormitory where the footballs were stowed at. And guess what? They knocked off the pad. Like, I was so mad, but I don't know if the pack knocked off yet, but I could just, like, I feel something wrong. You know what I mean? Because they take it too long. Normally, they'll hit your dormitory maybe 30, 40 minutes, and they'll go to the next dorm. They down there at the spot where I got the football stowed at. They down there too long. And then by the time they get to our dormitory, they happy. Like, they got a smiley face. And I'm like, man. So like I said, they come in there, script, everybody, t-shirt, boxer, shower shoes. So we go through the proper procedures, you know what I mean? They come in, tear the whole dorm up. After they tore the dorm up, they left. They called child call. They called child call. They had walked the child. So now they got the tech squad running the compound. And when they do that, they'll let you know how turned up Autry was. Like, normally they'll shake down and they'll leave. It was just so much going on down there, and dudes keep trying to make plays. And don't keep it 100 with y'all. I was one of the main ones at this time. I had Autry on fire. Like, every chance I got, like, cause my old throwers, they record prize about like 11-2. You know, I take losses, but majority time I get my pack. And I had the camp on smash when it come to, you know what I mean, contraband. So like I said, the tech squad, they escorting us to and from the child. And I still don't know that they knocked the pack off. But I heard them whispering and mumbling. Because, you know, they immune, they used to knocking off people bombs. But when I'm walking from child, this where I knew they had knocked off the pack. They were like, oh, whoever's doing this shit, they've been doing it for a minute. You see how the phone was wrapped up? And then I had fake grass on my footballs. You feel me? That was the camouflage to footballs. And I'm saying to myself, and he don't know I'm the person that orchestrated all this. You know what I mean? So make a long story short, you feel me? Once we got back to the dorm, I'm drunk. I'm punch drunk. I'm like, man, this some bullshit. So we stayed on lockdown for about like 3 days. Probably wasn't that long, probably 2 days. And again, this was common down there. They're going to come down there, shake you down, and let you off lockdown. It ain't, the only way they keep you on lockdown a long time is somebody getting alive. So soon we come off lockdown, guess what I got to do? All this money that I had I got to reimburse everybody. And dudes had the screw face on. Like, they don't want their money back. They really just, you know what I mean, get the contraband. So I straighten my face. You know what I mean? I give him his, I have to get a new confirmation number because my people had pulled all the money off the wire. So I had to get them to put it back on the wire. You feel me? Give them their money back, and so on and so forth. And then my people, me and bruh people, they had a lot of rap in their blood. The good thing about the whole thing, they didn't get caught. And that comes from being from that surrounding area. Like, you know where to run to. You know the rabbit holes. You know how to get away. And like I said, all well would end well. You feel me? You win some, you lose some. You feel me? So like I went back to the dormitory, and we just chilled. You know what I mean? We off lockdown. Everybody laid back in the Maybach. You know what I mean? Still got a little bit of contraband from the previous move when old girl brung me what she brung me. You know what I mean? In the middle of the dawn. Probably a couple days passed. You feel me? And guess what? I'm ready to go back in. But my people that was going to bring me to Bobby Brown, she told me like she was going to chill because too hot. An old girl that was in the mental health dorm, once the tax squad came and they shook the compound down, it scared her up tremendously. You feel me? But again, all well would end well. So, until next time, until next story. Y'all know the motto. Salute. I see y'all.